Hey.
How you doing, buddy? How you doing?
All right. How about yourself?
Good. Uh-oh. You're going to echo if you don't have earbuds in or anything. Do you have any earphones? I'm sorry. The camera looks good, though.
It's HD.
It's HD.
How about now?
Oh, that sounds perfect. Beautiful.
I gotta turn.
I'm going to keep you going, but I'm going to mute you for just a second while I start the podcast up and get things going.
All right, that's fine.
Bring you right in.
Cool.
Hello, and welcome to the Heart of a Villain podcast / videocast / YouTube cast. Hope everybody's doing really well tonight. I appreciate everybody who's going to be popping in here. Feel free to leave your comments, suggestions, anything you've got reference to what we talked about last night during the Instagram Live for no good reason. Had a lot of good information there. I've got a special guest I'm going to bring in because he's staying up late just to talk to us tonight, and he's got to be in bed because he's got to be up early to get to work, and he's a working man. So I do appreciate it. I'm going to bring him in now, and through the power of magic, there he is. He's the captain of the Bearded Villains of Indiana, Joe. Captain Joe. It's Joe__T on Instagram. Joe, how you doing tonight, buddy?
All right. How about yourself, BP?
Oh, I'm doing great. You are my first Skype guest, by the way, on the live stream. So congratulations for that. Real quick, I just wanted to bring you in because you are pretty much, I think, solely responsible. I don't know if anybody else had much input on it whatsoever. For some reason, I'm tinting orange. But this past week, we announced as a chapter something that you put together and put a whole lot of man hours into. And I'm just going to let you talk a little bit about it if you don't mind, because I think I'm not even sure if there's many other chapters, if any, that are doing this right now. And I think through your leadership, we're doing something kind of amazing here for the future. So go ahead and tell us what the big news was that we released this past week.
Yeah. So probably about 18 months ago, I started just having the crazy idea about what we could do as a chapter to give back and change lives, be true agents of change. And it wasn't just, what we're doing in the community right now. It was what we can do to change future generations and change ultimately a family's lineage. And I'm super stoked, super proud that last week we made the official announcement. All the groundwork's been laid. The 2020 Agent of Change Scholarship is live. So we are this year offering 2 scholarships at a total grand dollar amount of $3,500. So right now it's a $2,500 scholarship for first place and a $1,000 scholarship for second place. And we're still collecting donations and driving funds for this, not only for this year, but for next year as well. So this year it may top out right where it's at, because we are looking, and my goal is for this to be a continuous year by year scholarship offering that only grows.
Yeah.
So we started with a moderate goal, which all those funds were already raised throughout the last year. Our officers all bought into the idea to where we knew what we were working for. We had a lot of questions about why we weren't doing a lot with the money we raised last year throughout the chapter. But the officers knew what our goal was and what that purpose was. We just weren't ready to announce it until we were 100% certain that we could do it.
Right.
And this year at our 4-year anniversary, this past October, we we mentioned that it was going to happen. So that's when the cat really kind of dropped out of the bag. It was interesting because, I heard a lot of excitement. I heard some doubt from people. There were some naysayers. You're going to have that,
Yeah,
which that drove my resolve to make sure that we did it. Because when I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it.
yes.
And it's a chapter wide initiative. Yes, the full chapter was not backing it, but not involved in the drive to make it happen.
Right.
Other than our merch sales last year and talking to businesses about some small donations, to really, now that it's taken place, it's the fruit has started to bear. And now we're really starting to hone in on driving that for this year and to grow and have actual fundraisers for this specifically.
Right.
And the first part of that was becoming a 501c.
Yeah.
To where it is a tax write-off for businesses, for individuals. And we were lucky to have the foresight, with myself, Justin, and Josh, when they were still in place as cap and co-cap, about the 501c3, because we knew it was something that was going to put the chapter in a better spot.
Right.
And this is the first opportunity, actually the second opportunity we've had to utilize that. The first being the beard competition we held in January, to where we're going to be handing over a check for over $4,100 to the town of Richmond, Indiana, this coming weekend. And so those two things, those are the first couple things to where, donations being a tax write-off has helped us in this drive to do better throughout the state, not just Indianapolis, not just Richmond, not just helping out up north with you guys, what you're doing up there, to where we can utilize what we're doing as a 501c3 to impact the communities throughout the state.
Right. Yeah, it's really neat to see the full aspect of what the 501c3 enables you to do. I think a lot of people are just now starting to see, if their chapter wasn't even pursuing that, and now kind of it's being pushed through, they're going to start to see how advantageous that can be and how huge that can be to receiving donations, but also, it's not going to be same old the way you've handled business before, but the way that you can impact a community, the way that you can really put your footprint down and say, we are here and we're here to help. It's just immeasurable. And I think, it's really, really cool to see. I know the hundreds of hours that you've put into something like, to set this thing up, going back, not just for the scholarship fund, but I know that there was a kernel there when you were just getting through finishing up the paperwork for the 501c3 as well. So, it's a testament to you and your fortitude that push this thing through, and your leadership, but also, we can't forget, obviously, our past leaders as well, who may not be, with us chapter wise anymore, but I hope that they can still see it and appreciate the fact that we still think of them and still appreciate their contributions, not only to the history of the chapter and where they helped to bring it to today, but also this right here. The kernel started back then, and with that 501c3 thing and that push for that, as it started way back when. So hopefully they can still see that, that they had a lasting contribution both within our chapter, but now also into our future as well.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm sure that's there. I still talk with those guys pretty consistently. We've got bonds, and that's what's great about the brotherhood. I've seen a lot of people come and go, not just within BVIN, but within Bearded Villains as a whole, that I still communicate with, because it is, that relationship doesn't stop with the chapter.
Absolutely.
Or with the club. And so I'm sure, and I know that they're proud. They're proud of the things we're doing, and they're super stoked to see, the life that keeps on building, and the steam train, rolls harder and harder the further we go.
Yeah, Absolutely. For those of you who are just joining us, I'm speaking with the captain of Bearded Villains, Indiana, who's just announced that this past week it went live that there is a new scholarship available to Indiana residents who are going to Indiana schools. Those are two of the criteria, and they're going. And it's a scholarship program where there are going to be two scholarships awarded. One in the amount of, is it 1,000 and then 1,500, or is it 1,025?
It's 1,250,
Okay.
and it is a service-based scholarship to where a large portion of the application process is that they've had to have been involved, and not just been involved, but been a leader of involvement of a community service project in whatever their local community throughout the state is.
Right.
Along with letters of recommendation. But what's really interesting and neat about the scholarship is that it's not just for, an incoming freshman into a 4-year university.
Right. That was
2-year schools, trade schools, tech schools, barber school, any post-secondary education.
Yes.
Where someone is furthering their livelihood and they are a service-based person, they can qualify for this scholarship.
Yeah, that's I think that's what I'm most proud of, the scholarship representing BVIN, being that we claim to, we espouse ourselves that we're agents of change, and I think that by calling it that and by pursuing the fact that this scholarship says you don't have to be going to a 4-year university to get some degree. You are just as eligible if you graduated from high school and you're going on for post-secondary education of any kind, massage school, trade school. If you want to be a plumber, if you want to be it doesn't matter what you want to do. If you're trying to further your education, I think that's such a cool thing, because I think that's an area of scholarship funding that's very poorly represented right now.
I wholeheartedly agree, and also. The area where someone is not 18 years old,
Yes.
You could be 40 years old making a career change, and this is a scholarship you can qualify for.
Yes. Yeah. I know that we, since it went live this past week, those of you who've been following the podcast and saw the video that we put together for the Sleep in Heavenly Peace event this past weekend, there were a couple of families that we spoke to while we were out and about on the road, and they had family members who were planning on going to further educational schools that were full adults with kids right now. And we made sure we told them where to go to see about themselves applying for it as well if they fit the criteria. So it's just such a cool thing that you can, you don't have to be that 18-year-old going to a 4-year college like so many other scholarships out there. And I think it perfectly replicates the image that we're trying to portray. So sounds great. Man, I'm so proud of what you've done. I'm so proud of the leadership that you've brought to what BVIN is and what it stands for. So I know you've got to get to bed. I know it's probably late for you. So, but I greatly appreciate you coming on to talk to us a little bit about this scholarship thing, because I think it's very unique, and not only unique in the scholarship method, but it's unique within BVIN circles too. So I think it's especially important for guys to realize that with that 501c3 designation that they'll be getting eventually through these donations that you're going to be getting in, there's so many different ways that you can, change the lives of people in your areas. And this is just one idea that you've pushed through. So it's amazing.
Yeah, definitely. I know there, at least initially, was some pushback on that with chapter captains and chapters as a whole. And I just like to say, yeah, we were on the front edge of the bell curve. We did it before it was mandatory because we saw what it could bring. Mm-hmm. I think through that, there are tons of chapters that do already have our 501c3s. Reach out to any of us captains that have it. All of us will be happy to help out with that process. And really, once you get that, the opportunities that it provides is far greater than the headache it is to gain that charitable organization kind of stipulation.
Right.
But with it, there's a lot of opportunity, but then also what it does for the brotherhood as a whole is it makes our process transparent
Yes.
to where, we abide by federal law, which ultimately, if we're going to get into the realm of doing big things, we need to all make sure that we're following, what those processes are.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Great. I mean, perfectly said. And I know that if anybody does have any questions about 501c3s, it's not an easy thing to do. The paperwork is long and strenuous, and it's a pain in the butt at times, and it takes a little bit of time and a lot of patience. So reach
Yeah,
out.
it definitely does that.
Definitely reach out to Joe if you can. Joe__T on Instagram. And for some reason, I keep going crazy wild with my colors here. But man, thanks again. I appreciate you more than you know, and I've said that so many times. But I think you've done an amazing job. So congratulations personally to what you've done with the leadership of the chapter and in bringing around this scholarship fund and making it actually happen rather than just be a dream. So it's going to be really neat to see the lives that are touched by that for sure.
Yeah, I can't wait. We'll be announcing late July the first two winners, and that's going to be a very exciting moment.
Yeah. You wear your heart on your sleeve, so I'm sure it's going to be a moment that it's going to be hard for you to hide those tears too, I'm sure, but that's going to be amazing.
Yep, agreed.
All right, buddy. I appreciate it. I'll let you get to sleep, so I appreciate you chiming in and joining in with the live stream for tonight.
Yeah, you're welcome. I appreciate it, and have a good night.
All right, you take care. See you.
Yep, you too.
Okay. So we're back. For some reason, I'm not sure why. I'm going to reach down here and turn this up a little bit. I don't know if that's going to make a difference for me or not. We'll see. So, yeah. So, everybody, that was Joe Chernosky, the captain of the Bearded Villains of Indiana. And I appreciate your comments there, Aaron, and keeping track of things for us. Anybody doesn't know Aaron, he's chiming in on the chat there. And Aaron was responsible for helping me out get some glitches through. So I appreciate the heads up there. If you're just joining in, this is BP from Bearded Villains of Indiana and host of The Heart of a Villain. You are watching the YouTube broadcast of the podcast information. So we're not doing the podcast here tonight. This is the live stream. So we're just gathering to say, hey, what's up? How things going? This is the second live stream we've done, and so far so good. Pretty successful, I think. And that was the first Skype interview we've done, so that was pretty cool. I'm hoping things that will just continue to improve with the content that we're able to put out for everybody. And let's see if I can bring this in here. There he is. Look at that. There's Aaron Griffin. Excuse me. Aaron lives up here up north in Michigan City area. He's one of our northern brothers from Indiana. And he's kind of a local guru that I run things past all the time because if I have a question about something or I need him to test something out for me online, he's definitely a go-to person to help me out with that. So appreciate that, Aaron. Appreciate that a lot. So yeah, that was the big news that BVIN released this past week. So very fun. So let's get back to some of the information we talked about last night. We discovered last night on Instagram Live, sounds stupid, but these types of hats, we talked about what type they are. We learned all sorts of craziness. We also discussed the fact that I have an add-on that I need to add on to my resume when I make up another resume one day, and that is that I'm a former Zamboni driver, and that apparently becomes important now since Zamboni drivers are emergency goalies in the NHL. That's always fun. So looking forward to I'll get that up. And we talked about the possibility of creating a T-shirt. We had a couple kernels of some ideas here, and we talked about the possibility of. All right, good to see that, Aaron. Good to see that, Aaron. So we talked about a couple possibilities of T-shirt patch ideas. One, I'm going to get a shirt made up, I think, that says former Zamboni driver, just for fun. And yeah, that'd be pretty cool. And then there's going to be we might sell some shirts that say I know a former Zamboni driver. I don't know. Just, those kind of stupid shirts that everybody wears for no reason. Those would be fun to have. So chime in if you're here on the podcast and you're on the video cast and you're having a good night. Tell me what you're up to if you're in there. No drinky for me tonight. I'm sticking with the light stuff. So, hey, you want to see something really fancy? Look out. Watch this now. I'm going to switch over here with my Stream Deck. Look out. Bam. I got a camera 2 now. Camera 2. It kind of gives you a behind-the-scenes look of how things are going. So, shows you the board here. Gives you a little bit of a layout. I can show you what I'm doing as far as the board goes. The way things have been set up for me here. So what I've got here is I've got my deck right here. This is my Rodecaster Pro. I'm going to do a description and a lowdown of what my gear is eventually here. So everybody will have it. I've had a few people ask what kind of gear I use. So trial and error has been the big thing. So I do what I usually do. I hear you, buddy. I'll add you in there. Look at that, Andrew. Look at you're famous now. I would do it when you live stream. Working. Where are you working, Aaron? Or Andrew? I'm sorry, Andrew. Where are you working at? Or So this is the camera 2 pose, and I'm going to turn off my record button there. I was recording earlier so I could record it for my interview with Joe. So the Rodecaster Pro is an amazing piece of gear. It allows me to do all sorts of things. There's pads over here where I can do sound effects. I can bring in telephone calls. I can bring in the Skype calls. I have enough for in-room podcast or I have in room for if anybody comes into the place where I'm at. Oh, that's right. I forgot about that. That's right. That's where you work. But I can bring other people in. Both virtually, but also in person by setting up some other mics. And I knew that masturbates. That's right. I knew that. I just forgot to. I just forgot that was you working at Volvo. So, anybody that's interested. So, I'm sorry. Get off track there. So this is the Rodecaster Pro. I picked up a Stream Deck. You can't really see it in the. It's not really in sight right there. There it is, right there. Anybody that's a gamer knows what a Stream Deck is. Stream Deck's really nice because it allows me to have a manual switcher, so I can switch back and forth between different profiles, different cameras. So what I do for that is I'm on camera 2 right now, but if I want to switch back to camera 1 here, there it is right there, and it's got the profile information for me right there, and I can switch back over and get rid of that information. If you're curious and you are a first timer to the YouTube, if you haven't seen the podcast or listened to the podcast at all, you can find it on any major podcast platform, but also here at theheartofavillain.simplecast.com. That's the main page of the podcast. So you can. That's right, buddy. Sexy Stream Deck. Aaron's calling it a sexy Stream Deck. That's right. I was going to get one. Let me turn that off because that looks funny with underneath you there. But yeah, I was going to buy one that was a little smaller, and this just worked out better. So, so I use the Stream Deck to be able to switch back and forth between cameras if I have different things like that. It also allows me to bring in different videos if I want to, or different overlays over the information. So I'll go back to this for just a second. So anybody that's listening, keep chiming in. Let me know how you're doing or watching. Let me know what you're doing with the life and how things are going. I'm trying to think of some other things that I had on my list. I had to get down here real quick. I had to make the kids dinner tonight last minute. I kind of forgot to plan for that because I was thinking about this all day. And so I'm trying to think of some stuff. So I did want to give a shout out to a couple of our brothers that are in hospital or in need of our thoughts and prayers right now. Obviously, Cam up in the Cam 24 villain, I believe, is his IG. As I'm looking around here, seeing if I've got any extra messages here. Cam 24 villain is out there. And then also one of our brothers from BV Inland Empire is. Let me check me. I want to make sure I tell you the right name as far as his IG goes, because that's very important to me. I want to make sure I get it right. But let's see here. Oh, how are we doing in Puerto Rico tonight? How's the weather? Hopefully you guys aren't still shaking. That's my hope anyway. Yeah, for sure. So what I was talking about is Foxy is his nickname. His name Foxy. You've probably seen it on Instagram if you're a bearded villain. He's in the hospital with an illness, and he needs our prayers as well. So make sure we send some good thoughts out to him and to Cam up in the Northwest. They need our thoughts for sure on getting better. So let's see. This weekend I will be, or this Friday, the podcast host will be. Still shaking a bit. Michael is giving us some information down in Puerto Rico. They are still having aftershocks and quakes from the previous quakes that they had. So we'll definitely keep you guys in our thoughts as well, for sure. But this Friday, the podcast will be out with an interview with our special guest for the week will be Colin, the captain of Bearded Villains Tennessee, and we're going to be talking Nash Vegas. So I'm really excited about that because anybody that's been to Nash Vegas or has heard about Nash Vegas, you know what that's all about, how big of a fun weekend that is. So I'm going down this year. It's actually going to be my first year to be able to make it. I've always had something coming on. So I've never been able to make Nash Vegas before. So I'm really excited to go down and enjoy that. I'll be there with shirts and patches, some shirts. I don't have many in stock right now, but I'll be there with shirts, patches, and pins. So if you're going to be there, hit me up. I'll have a little table set aside somewhere. You'll be able to find me, no doubt. And that'll be a good time for sure. So Nash Vegas. So this podcast this week, hit up. You'll be able to see the information, hear the information from Colin. Give us a little teaser on that. Don't forget to be on the lookout for videos and information from LSV. That's going on this weekend down in Texas. So I look forward to seeing some videos and a whole bunch of information on those from those guys down there. Any interviews planned with European brothers? Master, I have to look at my schedule. I'd hate to quote you and say that I do have somebody. I know I've reached out to a few. It's just a matter of trying to fit into different schedules. I know that I can look up here and remind myself while I've got you on here, and I will look. And here, while I do this, I'll switch to camera 2. So I bring up the iPad over here on this side, and this has for me my little calendar of events in it. And it tells me when I know that what my general schedule is based on who's got what coming up. Excuse me. So I'm not sure if I currently have any European chapters on tap, mostly because I know that we're going to go back and we're going to revisit the guys that are in charge of Gothenbeard. We're going to go back and talk to them again, closer to time for Gothenbeard, and as we ramp up that, I know that I just mentioned on the Instagram live last night for the first time. I got an actual I'm going to try and repronounce his name right because I butcher it every time. I haven't said it 50 times in a row just to make sure I say it right. But Chalet, I think is right. Chalet. Chalet, I think is right. Anyway, he told me last night that one of the things they're trying to do is create a vest, a charity vest, and they want to donate. They want to have donated patches on that, and they want to sell that out for an auction item at Gothenbeard. So very cool item, very cool idea. If you have patches that you can donate, hit him up. It's Chalet89. And butcher it, yeah. You can find him on Instagram. I'll make sure I mention it again on the podcast this week. But there'll be I'll have an address for you if you want to send patches to them. If you can just imagine a vest with patches from all over the world on it, then how awesome that would be. So, but that would be a really cool auction item, and that's their plan. So if you have patches that you can donate, keep those things pulled out, and I'll give you the address where we can send those to. For sure. I do know, let's see here. On my list of my agenda here, I also have Manchester Beard listed, but that's July 31st. So I'll make sure to reach out to the guys, the Northern Monkeys, and I'll be interviewing somebody regarding Manchester Beard coming up, but that'll be a little ways out. That way it's not too far out from Manchester Beard. As far as the international chapters go, I've also got Beards for Bucko 2 coming up, but that's not until late June. So I'll be interviewing somebody on that. And then also in early June, Villain Fest 5, Bearded Villains London. So I'm going to be hitting somebody up for that as well, doing an interview for that. But those are all June. Gotham Beards in May. I don't have anything on my list right now that would be in one of the European chapters that's sooner than that, unless I'm missing something. If I'm missing something, I apologize. Master Bates, please let me know. If anybody doesn't understand why I'm saying that, one of our commenters from over there, Andrew, that's his Instagram handle. So, but yeah, so if there's something coming up, a big event of some kind that I'm missing, chances are I don't know about it. So please let me know. Yeah, both in September. So please keep me posted on that. If you listen to the podcast and you notice that I'm not saying something about it, by all means, please jump in and let me know, because like I said, there's a chance I may not have heard about it. I try to stay up, but like I said, there's over 160 chapters worldwide, so there's a chance, always a chance that I'm going to miss something. So, but yeah. So let's also give props up to our brothers, both in, well, first of all, we need to give props to Bearded Villains Nova, who had a nice polar plunge this past weekend. That was very cool. Bearded Villains London also participated in a polar plunge, I believe, back on the 22nd. So that was hopefully very chilly, but also very worthwhile. We've got LSV coming up this weekend. And then also this weekend, our Bearded Villains both in Southern Indiana and in Chicago. Yeah, okay. Our Bearded Villains both in Southern Indiana and Chicago here in the States all have polar plunges. So let's keep our fingers crossed. Hope everybody has a safe weekend with those. Everybody comes out okay, and no injuries running into the water or out of the water. And that both organizations both chapters are able to raise a lot of money for their organizations. I know the Bearded Villains Southern Indiana is in Petersburg. If you're anywhere near Petersburg, Indiana, you can help out or help donate or go see those guys, freeze their butts off. If you're anywhere near Chicago, Bearded Villains Chicago is jumping into Lake Michigan. That's always a good time to watch. So that's on March 1st. So the 29th is when the Southern Indiana guys go, and March 1st is when Chicago goes. So looks like a good time there. And then we've got Nash Vegas. Same weekend as Nash Vegas is the Latin American meet. That's down in Palermo. So Argentina brothers are hitting that up. Taking care of that for us. And that'll be a really good time too, I bet. So if you're just now joining us, this is BP from The Heart of a Villain, the podcast that's available on all major podcast platforms. You are on YouTube watching this now. And on the YouTube channel, if you haven't already, like and subscribe and click that little bell thingy. Ding, ding, ding. The bell's not here, but, you can find that bell so that you're also alerted when I would happen to, post something on this account, but also put out a regular video content on anything. We're going to have videos with brothers on here. We're going to have videos with brothers who own businesses. We're going to have little videos little snippets that I put together on different events that guys attend or that I attend. So there'll be lots of good stuff to see regarding bearded villains anywhere worldwide. So it should be a really interesting grab for you. I won't bother you too much with stuff, but it'll definitely be something. If charity, if bearded guys, if all that stuff interests you, it's definitely a place to subscribe to for sure. So jump on board with that for sure. So if you're not sure, there's the if you don't know where to find the podcast and you don't have a podcast platform that you listen to regularly, you can go to theheartofavillain.com, or I'm sorry, theheartofavillain.simplecast.com, and that's the website for the actual podcast. And then on that site, you can actually look at any one of the previous podcasts. There's also a link there to the store where you can grab this bad boy here, the podcast patch, shipped anywhere worldwide, $12. And then there's also patches. So that's the patch. There's also pins and shirts that are available. All that stuff supports the podcast and allows me to do some great things to help produce the content that I've got. So I appreciate that, Andrew. Look at that comment right there. That is what we love right there. Take this off the screen there. So, yeah, I do appreciate that. I didn't really listen to many podcasts at all until I started doing one, and then I started researching and listening to some. So I do appreciate that. So it is Wednesday night here in northern Indiana. It is super snowy, which is not a surprise. It's actually been pretty decent winter up here so far. We had schools canceled today, so that was like a holiday for the kiddos. All the kids were home at the house, so I made them do a little bit of chores in addition to everything else. Nice thing about having teens is that they can shovel that driveway for you now, so that's pretty nice. I haven't had to do the shoveling this year or anything like that. So, excuse me, tickle in the throat there. So, I had a really cool, super awesome delivery today, and I look forward to being able to show this to you. So, do you want to see the really, really, really cool stuff? Give me some thumbs up. Up, 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 up. A 2-hour delay tomorrow already? Oh, wow. Okay, so give me a thumbs up if you want to see the really cool stuff. I got 2 little things shipped to me in the mail today that were things that I ordered for the podcast, and I ordered them last week very cheaply. Thought that was pretty cool for the cost. So I will show them to you now, but I'm going to switch cameras. Boom. Actually, I'll switch to the I'll leave that camera on. So I'm going to give me just a second here, and I'm going to swap-a-roo over here to this thing so I can bring it up and show somebody what I've got. You need to stay up there. You need to stay upstairs. So, what happens when you live stream? You get a child coming down the stairs to check on you. How funny is that? Okay, so we're back main channel here. So I wanted to get some items that would be easily seen when I go out and about with the podcast. And I didn't have any signage of any kind. So picked these bad boys up fairly cheaply, and they're nice little banners. I'm going to take my headphones off and be quiet for just a second and show this to you. So that's the secondary logo. And then this one here is larger, but super cool. So, yeah, I love those things. Those are going to be pretty cool when I go out and about. The one's just sized perfectly that I can put it like on the front of a table, and then the big one can go behind the table. So I look forward to actually using those because that's a little bit of cool signage that I can put out and about. So very, very fun stuff. And I might even, I'm thinking about getting another one of those small ones where with the heart on it, and actually having that as a signable item that anybody that I bring onto the podcast that comes on in person or something like that, where anybody that's been on the show will sign it, something cool like that maybe I can auction off later down the road. I don't know, maybe something fun. If anybody would be interested in something cool like that, I don't know if they would be. So get the big tube out of the way. So yeah, we're just chilling here. Thanks for joining in, everybody. We're 42 minutes in. I started a little bit late, and I appreciate those of you who have stuck around with me here. This is The Heart of a Villain on YouTube. So I'm very excited about the prospects of what this is going to be. It'll be more structured as time goes on, but I'm just trying to right now utilize the space, try to figure out exactly what we can do with this. And so I'm hoping that in time, this is going to be less likely. I'll be able to bring in comments like I have so far tonight. But the hope is that with this, I'll be able to bring in interview guests. I'll be able to give little previews of the podcast that's coming up in that same week. So it'll be a little bit more structured and less like the Instagram live that I have that's called Live for No Good Reason, where it's just question, answer. We just talk all night. But since this is going to be something that can be replayed and people will be able to listen to later after the fact, it'll be, I think, much better for people to listen to and watch if there's some structure to it. So I'm not just answering questions that are popping up throughout the thing. So that's only good for about 24 hours, and then people really don't want to watch that stuff. So, but this is another way that I can utilize the video so that I can show people what the Bearded Villains are all about. So once again, I will say, if you did not see it already, please go. And I love promoting my new video skills. My video skills. Listen to me. I'm not a cinematographer by any means, but boy, did I have fun last weekend. If you didn't already know, we went with an organization. Some of us from here in Indiana went with an organization called Sleep in Heavenly Peace, and we delivered beds to kids that have never had beds. We spent time and we delivered 22 beds, either bunk beds or regular size beds, and put them together for all these kids. Such an amazing organization. We've partnered with them several times now, but I took my camera with me this time to kind of show what all happens. And I interviewed the chapter president, Jennifer, and I put this all together in a video, and I was able to play around with it and have some fun editing stuff. But if you haven't seen that, this is just another way that I'm going to utilize this YouTube channel, is to show what some of our chapters are doing. Now, initially, obviously, it's just going to be things that I'm taking part in, but my hope is that I'll be able to have guys send me footage of different events that they're doing, and I can piece some things together and actually show, okay, this is what this chapter's doing. This is what this chapter's doing. And so it's very, very cool. And I would love to be the little, if they send me a a video already edited together, that'd be great. I can pop that together. If it's something that I splice together myself, I have no problem doing that either. So, you know, but it'll be just another way that guys can see what the Bearded Villains are doing. So that's the hope anyway. Look at my camera. It's a little wobbly. Uh-oh. I'll have to take care of that later. You don't want to see me fidgeting around with that. So I'm still looking for some... appreciate that, Andrew. I'm still looking for some suggestions on ways that you would like to see me utilize either this channel or the podcast in another way. I'm always open to suggestions. Feel free to reach out and hit me up on Instagram. Hit me up on Facebook if you have me on Facebook. Hit me up on any one of the social media platforms. I'm all over the place, so you can find me. I'm listed as the Bearded BP on everything, or directly as the Heart of a Villain, for sure. No problem there. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and close this thing down. I don't want to talk all night and bore everybody, but I appreciate it. Thanks, for my special guest tonight, Joe. I'm going to put a little snippet of his interview tonight into our podcast as well for this week. Again, my podcast host this week my podcast guest this week is going to be Joe I'm sorry, not Joe. Is going to be Colin from Bearded Villains, Tennessee, talking Nash Vegas. Joe is, of course, the one I just interviewed here, and his part of his interview will be on there as well. Hope you're sleeping well, Joe. So yeah, Goth and Beard, I'm hoping we'll have tons and tons of stuff. That'll be very cool, and I'll be able to share that on the channel as well. So, guys, I appreciate everybody that's been chiming in and checked this thing out tonight. Anybody that is checking us out on the replay, I appreciate that as well. Make sure you get there, subscribe if you don't already. Click that little bell so that you're notified every time something comes on for the channel, for sure. We won't get too boring for you, hopefully. But if you like bearded men, if you like charity, if you like brotherhood, if you like the Bearded Villains, anything that has to do with men trying to make the world a better place, this is the channel for you, for sure. So I appreciate you all very much. I'm going to sign off now. Pay attention and keep an eye out for right bada boom here at simplecast.com. Theheartofavillain.simplecast.com is where you want to go, or any major podcast platform. Episode 20 is what we're looking at for this week. Episode 20 will be out Friday night sometime. Here in the States, anyway, that's the time. So I look forward to that, and we'll see you on the flip side next week. We'll chime back in. We'll try to come back through here again and try and do another live for us next week as well. And we'll see you maybe Wednesday night. So I'll let the boys with One Brotherhood, One Ship sing me out. Again, thanks for coming in. Thanks for stopping by. Be safe in the coming few days. And you'll hear again from me on Friday, and I'll see you for Instagram Live Tuesday night. And I'll see you here on the YouTube channel on Wednesday. Take care and stay safe, guys.